Now the very latest stories from here and around the world with the ITV News.
The British fighters now taking on Islamic State in Syria. At least 2 men have trained and joined Kurdish forces battling the terror group. One is a former soldier. Also on the programme, a British woman jailed in Iran for trying to watch a men's volleyball match is freed. And
World champion! Oh my God!
Champion again, Lewis Hamilton storms to a second Formula One world title.
This is ITV News with James Mates.
Good evening. The Home Office is looking into the possibility that Britons could be fighting Britons in Syria tonight. Scores of young British men are known to be fighting with Islamic State militants. Now it's emerged at least 2 Britons are fighting against them, alongside Kurdish forces. Our correspondent Dan Rivers reports.
Preparing to take on ISIS. This video appears to show former British soldier James Hughes from Malvern, here on the left, and his friend Jamie Reid from Lanarkshire getting ready to deploy to Syria's front line. Their social media pages are full of photos purporting to show the 2 men since they arrived, posing with weapons near the Syrian town of Ghavami. A conflict that has attracted dozens of British jihadists is now apparently drawing in other British fighters who want to thwart them.
Hughes, are you alright, mate?
James Hughes is no stranger to danger or publicity. He featured in this BBC 3 documentary on the war in Afghanistan while serving as an infantryman.
I know it's I need to check my legs, check my arms, see if everything has still got everything.
Now his family says he swapped the battlefields of Afghanistan for northern Syria, where today the relentless shelling continued. Amid this chaos, there is now a possibility that British citizens are fighting each other, although it's understood the men are not being paid as mercenaries.
I think mercenaries can sometimes be seen as a pejorative term because it suggests people are going out to commit violence for money alone. Now, I understand in the case of these individuals that they're not doing it for money, they're doing it for ideological purposes.
The Kurdish militia known as the YPG claim to have up to 50,000 fighters, among them a growing number of foreigners, including American Jordan Matson, who claims to have recruited the 2 Britons.
Men like me and a few others got sick and tired of no one doing anything, so we decided to come do something.
But their presence among Kurdish fighters raises questions for the government back here about whether it should and could stop former soldiers from fighting in Syria, even if it is against a declared enemy that poses a threat to this country. Dan Rivers, ITV News.
Here, the British government is reviewing laws to tackle British jihadists who want to travel to Syria and Iraq. The Home Secretary is expecting to set out her plans in the next few days. Our political correspondent Romilly Weeks is at the Home Office tonight. Romilly, how urgent an issue has this become for the government now?
Well, the government sees its principal task as keeping the country safe, so there simply is no more pressing issue. These plans would affect a rather different group to those mentioned in Dan's report there. It's designed to target British jihadis going out to Syria and Iraq to fight with ISIS and seen as a real threat back home as well. Today, the Home Secretary announced plans to extend data protection powers, so security forces would have the right to pinpoint which individuals were using a mobile phone or a computer at any given time. I'm told that in a speech tomorrow she will also give more details of plans to make it harder for British jihadis to return home and for new powers to prevent those about whom there's a reasonable suspicion they may be going out to join a terrorist group from leaving. The government sees this as essential to plug holes in its anti-terror armoury. Romilly, thank you very much indeed. A young British-Iranian law graduate jailed after protesting for women's rights in Iran has tonight been released on bail. Ghavami has been in prison since June. It's her birthday tomorrow, and here in the UK, her brother told Helen Callaghan of the family's relief that she won't be spending it behind bars.
Ghavami celebrating her 25th birthday. Her family feared she may have to spend her 26th, which is tomorrow, in prison in Iran. But today, back in the family home in London, her brother Iman got the news they'd all been waiting for. She'd been released on bail.
She sounded quite kind of excited and upbeat that she was released. I don't think she was expecting that. Of course, it's her birthday tomorrow, so I would think that it's going to be the best birthday of her life, really. I mean, after what's been happening the past few months.
The law graduate was arrested in Tehran in June. She'd been outside a volleyball match, protesting that women are not allowed to watch. Her prosecutors said she was spreading propaganda against the state, and for 149 days she's been behind bars. Hunger striking while in jail is thought to have left her weak, but for now she's with her parents in Tehran. Her mother Susan wrote on Facebook, "We thank all of you that stayed with us, and I hope the court accept the complete innocence of my daughter. Thank God." The courts are now reviewing her case, and it's expected there'll be a final decision sometime before Christmas. Helen Callaghan, ITV News.
The Foreign Secretary Philip Hammond said tonight there will be a last big push tomorrow for a deal to allay the West's fears about Iran's nuclear programme. Mr. Hammond and the US Secretary of State John Kerry have been taking part in talks in Vienna, which are due to end tomorrow at midnight. Tehran insists its nuclear aspirations are peaceful.
We're all focused on trying to get to a deal, but I wouldn't want to give any false hopes here. We're still quite a long way apart, and there are some very tough and complex issues to deal with, but we're all focused right now on trying to get that deal done.
The Archbishop of Westminster has told ITV News he feels Israel's most recent offensive in Gaza was disproportionate. Cardinal Vincent Nichols visited Gaza today, where he spoke to our Middle East correspondent, Geraint Vincent.
On a pilgrimage to the Holy Land, Cardinal Vincent Nichols came to one of its most desperate corners. He wanted to come and acknowledge the work done by a group of nuns in Gaza City during last summer's war between Hamas and Israel. They'd opened the doors of their convent to those made homeless by the fighting. More than 2,000 Palestinians and 70 Israelis were killed in the conflict, which saw Hamas fire thousands of rockets at Israel and Israel carry out thousands of air raids on Gaza. Large parts of Gaza still lie in ruins. The Archbishop described the level of destruction he saw here as appalling.
Clearly, Israel as a state is very preoccupied with its security, and that I do understand. But my instinct is that, yes, there's something disproportionate with what went on here this summer. Clearly there was a threat, there's a real threat. The paradox is, I don't think that's gone away.
Israel would say that they deal with an entity here and a government here in Hamas that is sworn to Israel's destruction. What else are they supposed to do, they would say to you?
Well, I think that they must talk, and Israel is in a position of great strength now. Strong leadership should be used to build peace.
Among Gaza's 1.8 million people, there are only 1,000 Christians, still fewer Roman Catholics. Many of them came to hear the Cardinal preach a sermon this morning. And some of them perhaps shared his hope that his message of non-violence might be heard by the governments here and in Israel. Geraint Vincent, ITV News, on the Gaza Strip.
Lewis Hamilton has become the first British driver since 1972 to win 2 Formula One World Championships. He won the final race of the season in Abu Dhabi to seal the title, as our sports correspondent Ian Payne reports. He received royal approval.
Lewis Hamilton is the 2014 World Champion!
Lewis Hamilton described today's victory as the greatest day in his life. His second world title with royal approval from Prince Harry.
Lewis, well done, you're an absolute legend.
And less formally from girlfriend Nicole Scherzinger. Meanwhile, in Hertfordshire, in tricky conditions at the local go-kart track where Hamilton began racing, old friends were gathered nervously to watch the whole race. Well, here we are, we're just about to start the race that will decide the championship. With me here is John, who's been at this track for many, many years. and he remembers Lewis Hamilton. How are you feeling?
Very, very excited. Very pleased that all of our friends and guests have turned up to Rye House to watch this race. And yeah, excited, very excited.
It couldn't have begun any better.
Hamilton's made a great start.
Hamilton raced into the lead and hardly looked back. Halfway through the race, the only man that could beat him, teammate Nico Rosberg, had engine problems.
Losing engine power. Yep, copy Nico, we can see it.
The problems got worse and worse, and he was eventually told to retire.
I would like to go to the end.
But brave as he was, the championship, with its unpopular double points in this final race, was as good as over. He's only the fourth Briton to win more than one world title, and the first since Sir Jackie Stewart, who won 3.
I think he'll pass my record. I mean, I've had mine for 43 years, I think it is. So I'm sure Lewis will win more world championships, and when he does that, I'll congratulate him warmly, as I will this time too.
Don't bet against Hamilton matching Sir Jackie's record next year. Ian Payne, ITV News.
In the football today, Liverpool crashed to their 4th consecutive defeat as they lost away at Crystal Palace. This free kick from Palace captain Mile Jedinak, 9 minutes from time, sealed a 3-1 victory for the home side. Liverpool now sit 12th in the table. Elsewhere, Tottenham came back from a goal down to beat 10-man Hull City 2-1. Christian Eriksen scoring the last-minute winner. And a record crowd of more than 45,000 watched England's women lose 3-0 to European champions Germany at Wembley today. That's all for tonight. The weather's next, but from all of us here, good night.
A warm outlook. Worcester Bosch sponsors ITV National Weather.
Hello to you again. A very good evening. Well, it's looking to be colder and clearer for us in the coming few days. Some dazzling autumn sunshine by day, frost and fog by night. That's very much the theme tonight. Misty low cloud and fog developing as temperatures take a tumble. It's going to be cold and frosty. Some ice patches forming from that water left behind from the rain today. And tomorrow, well, freezing and frosty first thing. Some of us scraping the car windscreens before the journey into work, and the misty low cloud and the fog taking a while to shift. Maybe a slow morning rush hour for some of us. A lucky few will see brighter skies and by and large cheering up through the afternoon. Most of us in the same boat by then. Some gorgeous November sunshine, if a little chilly. I'll see you again soon.
A warm outlook. Worcester Bosch sponsors ITV National Weather.